It's really nice to be in this hot seat again. I guess the last time was about a year and a half ago, and it's remarkable how more joyful my life is, and also how much more of an understanding that I have that's as it should be. A little while ago, I had some trouble, ended up in the emergency room. Turned out there was no damage to the heart muscle, but in the ensuing doctor work that went on after that, they found a clog in one of the main arteries that feeds the heart, and wanted to operate immediately. And I knew enough about the procedures that they wanted to do that the risk was much greater than the doctor was thinking they were, and that the procedure was not one that has a lasting effect, and decided to go the other course, which is being my own caretaker of my health, which meant changes in diet and everything, and just seeing people that would support me into health rather than cut me open into health. Most of the time, it's very clear that I will return to complete and perfect health, but there are times where I waver. There are times where I feel very fearful. I really am loving life more now than I ever have before, and I'm not ready to give that up. I try to focus on the business of living instead of the fear of dying, yet it still comes in.
Most of you won't really get over the fear of death till you die. And then we'll all laugh together. And then you'll come back into another physical body where you'll be convinced by others to fear it again some more.
I've been sort of unraveling a lot about what may have led me to a situation where there was so much damage in my body, whatever, this situation. I don't really know exactly the right way to describe it, but...
How many of those unmade beds were you able to dig up and make?
A few. And I realized that, I'll never get to all of them, but I just was wondering if there was any unraveling that needed to be done on any issues. Is there anything that I'm missing that I'm not aware of that...
Well, let's talk about it in terms of the way the energy flows today. So what you're saying to us is you had an experience that caused a clear rocket of desire. And would you speak that desire again for us?
Complete and perfect health.
Now, do you think that you've ever spoken that desire vibrationally or verbally as clearly as you are now speaking it?
Never.
Do you trust that source energy is responding to your desire?
Yes.
So, ask and answered. Now, in what way might you know that you might not be letting it in?
Well,
fear, anxiety, worry, frustration. Now, all of those emotions that you feel are pointing right at anything that, in your words, you're needing to unravel. And we would use different terminology because we don't think that there's anything that you need to go back and fix. We just think that there are thoughts that you think here in this moment that are more life-giving in nature and are less life-giving in nature. And we think as you think them, it's a much easier process than trying to go back and figure out if you ever thought them. In other words, your guidance system is responding to you actively in the here and now. You don't have to go back and figure out how you got here, because if you said, how did I get here? We would say, well, first of all, let's talk about the magnificent place that is here. Let's talk about the pure power of your desire. Let's talk about the asking stronger than ever before. Let's talk about the focused clarity that is you and where you stand, you see. And so when you say, oh, I'm standing in a very good place, but why do I feel a little more fearful? And we say, because in this new focused desire, you've got the energy moving faster. It's like our friend said earlier, I am now more in love with life. I now care more about my family. I have been through this experience, brought to a more focused place of appreciating my life and those around me. And so as you are now in that stronger focused place, the energy is moving faster, which means those thoughts that you're wanting to go back and unravel and fix, when they do come up, you're feeling it stronger than usual because your desire has the energy moving faster than usual. So we would not say you have more fear in the sense that you have more resistance. We would say you have more fear in the sense that you have more desire that is now pointing out the resistance. You get a sense of it?
Yeah.
It's exactly what we were saying about your global energy. How there's more clearly focused desire than ever before, so there's more faster moving energy than ever before, but the same old resistance remains steady. It just feels like more in the faster moving current. That's really important to understand.
So what would be a simple, practical, I'll give you a scenario. I'm most fearful when I do ordinary things like I used to love to get on my bike and ride, even long distances sometimes, and now I can't even go short distance without feeling chest pain. And when I feel the pain is when the fear is the greatest. Because then the fear is saying to me, you're never going to get better, you're only just going to get gradually worse, and then you're going to die. And that's not really what my desire.
Well, now we have to say to you, that's not your original thought.
Right. Okay.
In other words, that's a thought that so many have come to believe, and you pass it on to one another. It says, you're born as this inferior, incomplete little glob of a being. In other words, have you looked at one of those new ones lately? They're sort of strange, aren't they? They don't have very good muscle tone, if any, and all those little underdeveloped bones and things, and no teeth, and no ability to communicate. So you're born as this sort of incomplete little thing, and then you work yourself to some point of no return, it seems. No one's really sure where it is. Most think it's right where they just were. And then there's this long, slow decline into the abyss called death. And we say, oh, if you understand life force, then you understand that it comes anywhere there's stimulation of thought. And if life force comes, and it does, anywhere there's stimulation of thought, and it is allowed, then there is thriving in each of those moments. So this thing that you call disintegration or deterioration or the decline is not about aging. It's about summoning and not allowing energy to flow. It's about summoning more energy and then standing in contradiction to the energy that you've summoned. And so when you're in this place of heightened energy and in this place of knowing all of the variety of ways to soothe yourself, we would say you are not at risk. Pain in your body is a very good thing. Pain in your body is like negative emotion in your energy field. What it's saying to you is, continuing under these conditions, given the desire that you hold and the beliefs that you hold, if you continue in this thought, word, or action, you are not in the perfect alignment. It's not saying you're going to die of a heart attack today, or you're going to get struck by lightning today, or the boogeyman's going to come out of the bushes and get you today. What it's saying is this course of thought and action and feeling is not appropriate given the desire that you hold. Now, it doesn't mean that riding the bicycle is detrimental to your experience, but it does mean, given what you are believing and given how you are feeling, it's good for you to stop, take some breaths, focus upon how well you're doing. Don't you notice that when you get out and move your body, that your body begins to respond to whatever you're asking for? It's a really interesting thing to watch one of your bodies, because your body is made up of all of these trillions of cells that are all intricately linked to the source energy itself. In other words, they are these transmitting and receiving mechanisms to this life force. So as you have a request, you send a request, the cells in your body know what they need to do, and they send a request, and there is a tremendous summoning that goes on.
Maybe I should just give up all the vitamin therapies and all the things that keep me so focused on the problem, because I'm not really certain of how much they're helping.
Well, we are not encouraging you to give up any action, but we are encouraging you, as you participate within the action, to look for the part of it that feels good to you. Yeah. Recently, we've been hearing the word patriotism. And we've noticed that there are some that are in the vibration of patriotism as they are offering the word, and it's an utterly connected state of being. It's a feeling of well-being. It's a feeling of appreciation. It's a feeling of true gratitude for the well-being that surrounds. It's a feeling of pride and appreciation predominantly. And then there are others who are using the word patriotism that are as disconnected as anybody you ever want to meet, because they're pushing very hard against something that has frightened them or has angered them. And even though they're using the same word, they are vibrationally opposite. And the same thing is true in any point in time. You could be taking a food supplement and appreciating the nutritive value of it and recognizing that your cells have been asking for it in lots of different ways, and that one way or another you've been guided to this action, and this action really feels good to you while you are participating within it because it's a match to so many things that you want. Or you could say, oh, this reminds me that I'm not as well as I would like to be. It's your choice. The vitamin or the nutrient or the pill or the action is really irrelevant. It's the way you feel about it that matters most. We believe that in your lifetimes you will see it in such a stark way that it will thrill you. You will begin to notice that the most successful caregivers are the soothers. You're going to begin to notice that those who are in the game of fear find less success than those that are in the game of soothing. And already it's beginning to turn in all kinds of ways and in all forms of medicine. People have come in their science and in their medicine to discover that many of what they were calling illnesses are stress-related. And more they're going to understand that what stress is not allowing the fullness of who you are. And more they're going to discover that not allowing the fullness of who you are is about scaring someone, or it's about pointing out the negative aspects. There is so much evidence. There's all kinds of documented evidence. We wouldn't encourage you to dig it all up. We would encourage you to manufacture your own. But just know that it is there.
Great, thank you for that.
And most of all, we would say, if we were standing in your physical shoes, isn't this a lovely thing? That I had an experience that has brought to mind some very important things to me. How much I love this life, how much more of this life there is for me to live, and isn't it wonderful that I now know what to do in order to bring myself into alignment? Next time you feel any discomfort, whether you call it chest pain or whether you acknowledge that it is something to do with your heart or whether you think it is something to do with gas or whether you think it is something to do with... Stop in the middle of it and say to yourself, this discomfort that I'm feeling is nothing more than my own awareness of resistance. Time for me to relax and breathe, relax and breathe, relax and breathe. Relax and breathe, and you can, in seconds, bring yourself back into comfort. Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes.